just a few house rules real quick before we get started. Toward the end, I'm going to try to have a dialogue where people ask questions. So if you have some questions, there are some questions that people filled out on the survey. I'm going to address those first. And then throughout the session too, I probably will be asking questions. So feel free to unmute yourself when those questions come up. If you have something specific that you would like to ask me, feel free to utilize the chat. I will try to address it as quickly and promptly as I can. If I miss it, it's not on purpose. It's just simply me trying to go with the flow of what's going on. All right, and here we go. I'm gonna share my screen because the teacher and me definitely came prepared. There we go. All right. Okay. All righty, there we go. So first things first, I got to put this out there, but I'm sharing my personal experiences with you. A lot of these things I've tried myself. A lot of you that are on here already know this because I'm always talking about health and things that I'm going through physically, mentally, and even sometimes spiritually too. Some of you I feel comfortable having those conversations with. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I do not wish to become a doctor, but if you feel like any of this information you would like to find extra research on, please do so. Feel free to do so. And then, like I said, throughout the course of the next couple weeks or few weeks, I will also have additional times and spaces where if you want to talk, ask me about some of the things that are going on that we discuss, I will definitely leave time open for that, okay? The other thing that is important to notice or note about this, healing is not a one-size-fits-all thing. So there are going to be some of you who are going to experience this a lot quicker than others. And then there are going to be some of you who might have to try 2, 3, and 4 rounds. I myself experienced having to try a few of these things 3, 4, sometimes 5 times. So until I saw results. But give your body time. And then the main thing is the body is meant to heal. So above all other things, hold on to that last one for sure. The body is meant to heal. The only thing is it takes a little bit of time. Okay. All right. Upon entering this, I was thinking about where to even begin or where to start. And it was only fitting that I start with the beginning of the day, because obviously after we come from resting or sleeping, that is when our body is healing, repairing, sweeping up, and tightening things that happened from the day before. So the beginning of the day after your sleep cycle is complete, your body proceeds to do what I call dump the trash bin. So this happens during the first 4 hours. You will use the restroom a lot. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 times before you leave the house, or if you're on your way to work. Some people will try to not consume so many libations, because that's all you should be consuming within those first 4 hours, or fruit, just so that they can manage how they use the restroom when they go to work. That was something that I had to get accustomed to, especially as a teacher, because I had to make sure that however I was deciding to detox or to heal, it also flowed with the schedule. But then sometimes you can't pinpoint exactly how your body will respond to this healing process. So you should consume hydrating and cleansing libations. So some examples of that. I have right here, this is actually some papaya and cantaloupe juice. And of course I have a little bit of sea moss in here as well, and some key lime juice. And this is something, if you have a juicer, you can make this pretty easy. If you do not have a juicer, I literally have a blender and a strainer, sometimes 2 strainers. And I will blend the concoction down, or the cut up fruit down in the blender, and then strain it through the strainers, and you get juice this just the same way, okay? So sometimes we got to find cost efficient methods of providing healing, okay? Let me check the chat real quick. Sorry. Oh. Okay. Let me see. Do you see the second slide? You can unmute yourself and let me know.
No, I still see the first slide.
No. Yeah.
Let me.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Do you see rising routine now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was down to, let me see, you should consume hydrating fruit and cleansing libations. So like I said, fruit juice, that you juice is going to be the best. You can purchase juices from the store. You can purchase juices from other people, have them in your refrigerator. But the main thing is having this stuff as fresh as possible is going to expedite your healing. Okay. So I was saying that I use a blender and a metal strainer in order to make mine. Some people have an actual juicer, which is, of course, just as good. But if you want to know what things are, to me, on the level of hydrating the best, cucumber juice is probably one of the most hydrating things that you can put into your body. Okay. It definitely cleanses your kidneys, definitely helps accelerate the cleansing of the liver, and it's going to make you run to the bathroom. I'm going to tell you that off rip. Okay. And actually juicing the cucumber is a little better than eating it with the skin on, because sometimes that skin, just like any other living thing, it doesn't really want to be eaten. Okay. But vegetables and fruit don't have legs to run away from us. So a lot of times they will have defensive mechanisms within it, which is usually inside the skin. Or if you usually eat pineapples, you'll notice if you eat enough pineapples, you'll start feeling the itch on your tongue. Okay. So that's just the fruit or the vegetable's way of trying to preserve itself. All right. Or defend itself. Watermelon juice is probably one of my personal favorites. Whenever watermelon season hits, I go through like 1 or 2 watermelons a week. I love them, eating them and juicing them. Coconut water is always really good. Warm water with key lime juice and a little grated ginger is good too. And then tea. Okay. So the key is hydration accelerates elimination. If you are well hydrated, it's like giving your body WD-40. It allows for the things that are caked up and plaqued up on the inside of your body to get loosened up, to be expelled. Okay. So the better hydrated you are, notice I didn't say the more hydrated you are, but the better hydrated you are. Okay. Yep, I got you in just a second. The better hydrated you are, the more you can expel and get rid of and cleanse. Hydration from fruit is going to be the best. It allows for your body to create H3O. If you notice, this juice, the cucumber juice, even watermelon juice or juice from like fruit is more buoyant than, let's say, your regular water. Okay, it's a little more buoyant. Okay, because that allows your cells to also have a little cushioning, but also it allows for that hydration to permeate your cells, get in there, cleanse those things out, pull out the toxins, and then it gets sent to your lymphatic system, sent to your blood system, and then it gets expelled through your urine. So a quick way to make cucumber juice, if you have a juicer, you don't have to peel the juice, the cucumber. You can just chop up the cucumber, put it inside your juicer, voila, juice. I use a blender, and then I have a strainer, and I cut up the cucumbers, put it inside the blender, probably will add a little spring water to it, blend it down, and then I strain it. Then there's my juice. And that usually takes me about a good 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how much energy I'm moving with in the morning or that time of day. Okay. All right, I'm gonna move right on. All right. Would someone mind just coming off mute and let me know if you see the screen that says lymphatic push, please?
Yep.
All right, yeah. Cool. I want to make sure my internet connection is doing what it's supposed to do. Thank you. Thank you. I remember being brought up in school and having health classes, and I found that kind of crazy as a teacher that kids were not having health class. And when they were having health class, they weren't being taught about the systems of their body. That was very crazy to me because I felt like that was something that should be known information. But one of the body systems that I found extremely interesting was the lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system runs parallel to your circulatory system. And that is because your lymphatic system collects the waste from your cells, also anywhere within your body that anything is getting rid of. So that could be from your organs, your organ systems, your tissues. and then it sends it to your circulatory system, which goes through your urinary system so that it can be released from the body or released through your stool. So with your lymphatic system, I like to do something called a lymphatic push, all right? And with the lymphatic push, your lymphatic system only operates when you have movement, such as jumping, running, also extreme temperature change. So if you have a shower, take a real hot shower. Ladies, I understand why you take a shower on hell. I get it now. But then immediately turn that water cold. 5 minutes hot, 5 minutes cold. 5 minutes hot, 5 minutes cold. And then you can also do something called dry brushing. If you don't have a brush, literally like a hairbrush, or they do have soft bristled brushes, you're going to brush your body in a clockwise motion. Or if you want to do it with your hand in the shower, do it in a clockwise motion. Okay? Do it as if the clock is on your body. So 12 o'clock would be here. 1 o'clock would be to your left, 3 o'clock to your left, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, so on and so forth. I might be backwards too because of the camera facing. But you literally want to just rub all parts of your body, your arms, your legs as well, and then rub all the way up to your pelvic area and to your abdominal area. And you will notice that in the shower, you're going to have to urinate. Let it happen. That is the lymph being released from your body. So I truly believe this, and I can say this from my own experience. Your health is linked to your body working together between the systems that keep you alive. Your lymphatic system and circulatory system work hand in hand to expel the things that are not supposed to be inside of you. So I know that my ideology around diseases or discomfort is not traditional, because I do believe that you can pretty much get rid of almost anything as long as you have the proper knowledge, the proper tools, and then time. Those three things allow you to heal yourself. So your lymphatic system will determine how well and how fast you heal. If you go into the bathroom a lot, that's a good thing. If you notice that you're having fevers, that's a good thing because your body is responding. If you have rashes that are appearing and you're like, this was not here before, that is your body communicating to you, telling you, yo, something is wrong. I want you to pay attention to these areas of the body. And you can also get into something called face mapping, hand mapping, foot mapping, and iridology. And those would be something that I could discuss at another time, but they could tell you how to diagnose yourself or tell you what organs need specific attention. So your lymphatic system is the highway, like I said, that runs adjacent or parallel to your circulatory system, and it's responsible for collecting waste that your cells get rid of. Let's see, this is one. Let's see if the teacher and me did well. Why is it important that your lymphatic system runs adjacent to your circulatory system?
Because it keeps you alive.
It does keep you alive. Now, keep you alive though.
It cleanses the body.
You said it does what to the body?
It cleanses the body.
There you go. So remember, your circulatory system allows for things to get expelled as well through your urine as well as through your fecal matter. So without that lymphatic system, you will be sick. If that lymphatic system does not work properly, I can guarantee that you will have disease, discomfort, and that you will begin to be sick. A very quick way to know if your lymphatic system is working is through your skin, your hair, and your nails. So a lot of people think that things like rashes, hair loss, or even like the way people's nails get brittle is supposed to be natural. But one thing for certain, two things for sure, we are supposed to age, which means you're supposed to be 15, 16, 17, but you're not supposed to get old. You shouldn't be waking up feeling like your back is out of place all the time, your knees are hurting. That is definitely a sign that you might want to change up how you are consuming foods, okay? So you could push this system, like I said, through movement or extreme differences in temperature. So running, jumping, if you play in basketball, rebounding, going to the trampoline parks, jumping jacks, hot and cold showers, clockwise brushing, Stretching, those of you who enjoy yoga or just stretching, period. And even massages. Massages, actually, if you notice after a massage, you usually have to go to the bathroom a lot because it's releasing a lot of those blockages, especially in your joints and also throughout your body if you're not super active, okay? Like I said, an indication that your lymphatic system needs cleansing, smelly armpits. Now, let me just say this though. With the smelly armpits, you can take chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is very good for gently detoxing and cleansing the liver, kidneys, and the blood, but it is gentle, okay? Acne on the face, depending on where it is, it'll let you know which organs need special attention. Skin rashes, again, depending on where they show up, it'll let you know which organs need special attention. And then the last one, which I hope none of us really have to succumb to, which is disease, okay? All right, let me move right along. All right, the next one should say eat to heal. You give me a thumbs up if that's what it said. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. So your first meal is going to be your best meal. You got to start strong. Like I was saying, hydration is key when it comes to healing. So if you are trying to get rid of something, let's even say something as small as a cold, you should be consuming lots of melons, lots of berries. And then the next thing would be, I would stay away from starchy fruits and vegetables like bananas, eggplants, because they just lack water. That doesn't mean they're not good for you. That just means if you're trying to heal, you want to eat and put as much hydration inside of your body as possible. So like I said, I love watermelon, cantaloupe, papaya is something that I love a lot as well. And then honeydew, green coconuts, key limes are extremely alkalizing and cleansing. So in the morning, I keep bags of key limes here, and I make sometimes key lime juice or key lime ice cubes. And then let's say you're making a tea, you literally just grab one of those ice cubes, put it inside of your tea, let it dissolve. That's a good thing. If you're making water, take 2 of those ice cubes, depending on how big they are, drop it in your water, shake it up. As the day goes on, you are gently cleansing your body as well as hydrating it with the key lime juice. So that's a hack that I use very much often. Putting key lime juice in the form of ice cubes, freezing them, adding them to any of the drinks that I decide to make. That includes my fruit juices too. There's key lime juice in here as well. All right. Berries are literally brain food. We underestimate how much energy it takes. We underestimate how much energy it takes in order for this organ right here to work properly. This organ needs the most oxygen, needs the most energy, needs the most food. Your food is your fuel for your body. So if you are fasting, you should try to get to a point where you are going from solid foods or cooked foods to raw foods to the solid foods to probably consuming more melons and berries. If you are consuming more melons and berries, they have the amino acids, antioxidants, and hydrations to allow your cells to become new and make new cells and also clean themselves out. So berries are literally brain food. I mean that. It allows for the oxygen, just like cantaloupe. It allows for the blood vessels to open up and allows for oxygen to travel throughout the body more freely, more effectively, and more efficiently. Our bodies run off of efficiency. So if there is something that is deficient, it will do its best to preserve you, but also heal and cleanse whatever's easiest to heal and cleanse first. So you want to help it do so by literally providing it what it needs, which is antioxidants, amino acids, and as well as oxygen-inducing foods, okay? Vegetables, they detoxify and fortify, especially your dark leafy greens. So your Swiss chard, I know everybody knows about kale. Also your collard greens. If you have collard greens, I know we as Black folk, we love to cook up some greens. And yes, it's actually good, and you want to preserve that the broth from it. But if you have some collard greens, cut them up fresh. Keep them fresh. Put them in a salad along with some other greens that you like. Romaine lettuce has an abundance of water. If you are having trouble with if you are having constipation issues, eat a lot of romaine lettuce. It'll soften your stool as well as giving your body the same kind of H3O inducing liquid or libations that it needs in order to make your body new, okay, and clean itself out. Dark leafy greens and light leafy greens, the darker it is, the more manganese, magnesium, iron, and protein that vegetable will provide. I know it's a common myth that, and I'm gonna say it, a common myth, and if you know me, you know I work out a lot, and I know the workout world is real big on like taking protein, take your protein, where are you getting your protein, how much protein, how much protein. But if you look at our anatomical structure, especially our intestines are too long to consume large amounts of animal protein. We also do not have the acid to break down animal protein quickly. That is something that I will talk about. I could talk about in depth at another session as well. But we are definitely designed to eat fruits and vegetables. From our teeth, our canines are small, and we have molars in the back, which allow us to chew up our food, not grind it into a pulp. So for example, if you are eating a cucumber, I actually suggest you peel the skin off of it if you're going to eat it, because that skin needs to be ground up very fine. You should be chewing up your food very fine anyway. You should be trying to chew your food between 30 to 50 bites for every mouthful of food that you get, because you want it to almost be pulp-like. It helps with your digestion. It will also decrease on the amount of flatulence or gas that you have when you are consuming these foods as well. Because you can still be gassy eating fruits and vegetables if you're not chewing them down properly, okay? Because then that puts extra stress on your stomach, your intestines, and your colon, because now they have to try to break down those big chunks that you didn't do when you were chewing up your food, okay? Seeds and nuts build the body. So for example, I was actually fasting. I've been fasting as much as I can for the last like month or so. So I've had no seeds, no nuts. The only thing I did was blend them down and I was drinking them. But if you are cleansing or fasting, do not eat seeds and nuts. I repeat that again. If you are cleansing or fasting and trying to heal, do not eat seeds and nuts until you are done with your fast. Okay, that's if you're trying to do like a liquid fast. There we go. Let me be spot on. All right. Children of the sun should consume in accordance. What does that mean? Fruits and vegetables grow on plants. Those plants are absorbing sunlight. You, as a person of black, brown complexion, you should be outside when the sun is at the highest point in the sky, which is usually between 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. Yes. So that vitamin D, you can't really get from other foods except for mushrooms, but you have to eat so many mushrooms in order to get an acceptable amount of vitamin D, and you have to do it over time. So the best way to get your vitamin D, literally just go outside, face toward the sun, or just go outside, relax, chill, let that fortify your skin. You'll feel the difference. It'll lift your mood, it'll boost you up, it'll help your digestion a lot better. It'll also build up your muscles. It'll also help with your cognitive ability and you being able to think. Because a lot of people think that, all right, well, I'm in a bad mood or I'm not really feeling that good. Oh, it's just the day. But sometimes it is the lack of minerals, it is the lack of nutrients and the lack of vitamin D or sun that we are not getting. Or we might just be sick and our body's like, hey, I can't get you out this funk because I want you to realize that I want you to make some changes. Communication with our body is key. So a lot of times through these processes too, you're going to find out that you're going to learn a lot more about yourself. You're going to find out that your body has probably been trying to tell you something for a very long time, and you just didn't know that it was talking to you. So you have to eat when you need to. Because as you start making these changes, then you're going to start being like, okay, my stomach is growling probably because it's empty, not because I'm so hungry. You'll know when you're hungry because your energy levels will drop, or you'll start feeling real sluggish sometimes. And sometimes that sluggish feeling is also your body is just cleansing. And as soon as you go to the bathroom, you're like, wow, my energy feels really good right now. So, you know, a lot of this is going to be you understanding how your body is communicating with you as well. okay? But the biggest thing from this slide that I want you to get, eating to heal, your fruits are your cleansers. Melons, berries, and I'm going to say cucumbers because a lot of us consider it a vegetable, but cucumbers, those should always be in your repertoire when you are trying to cleanse. Though you should have those every day if you are trying to cleanse, if you are trying to fast, especially if you're trying to go from eating solid foods to eating liquid foods, okay? All righty, let me move on. Okay. All right, cool. I think I'm making good time. Okay, yes. All right, so the first meal continue. Like I said, you should consume your first meal between the time of 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. And it should be your largest meal because you just got finished fasting from the night before. The first 4 hours, you have not consumed anything, or probably you consume some fruit. And your first meal, like I said, should be your heaviest meal, your biggest meal, because later in the day, your body's going to start absorbing those minerals, absorbing those nutrients after your stomach and intestines have broken those things down and begin to absorb the minerals and nutrients from the food that you chewed up, okay? You can consume heavy and starchy foods at this time if you are not fasting. Heavy starchy foods include your grains. I actually am trying to stay away from grains. I'm trying to see how it's making my body feel and if I actually need the grains at all. Your bananas, your eggplants, any fruit or vegetables that are considered starchy or do not have an abundance of juice or water, you can consume. If you're eating seeds and nuts, you want to consume them around this time too when you have your first meal. Because the whole idea is you want to give your body time to break down the food, identify what minerals and nutrients are in the food that you've eaten. And that happens like in your small intestine. Your small intestine is responsible for absorbing nutrients from solid food. Then it will send those nutrients and minerals wherever it's required or necessary within the body. So that when it is time for you to go to sleep later on that night, now your body has the proper minerals and nutrients to say, okay, we had some pain in the knee today. Let's send some amino acids there and start repairing those ligaments, tendons, or whatever might be damaged. Okay, we started noticing that some hair was falling out from the beard area. Let's go send some minerals and nutrients up to the blood that is flowing to that region of the body so that we can start healing and bringing nutrients there so the beard grows out full. Or, all right, we were noticing that there was a rash up under our armpits and one of your biggest lymph nodes is here, which is why most people experience smelly armpits if they're not consuming the proper foods or if they're not hydrated properly. Because if you're dehydrated, your armpits are going to stink no matter what you eat. I don't care if you are eating fruits and vegetables all day. If you are not properly hydrated, your armpits are going to stink. It happens to me all the time. And I have to tell people sometimes, hey, listen, sorry, I got to go get some fruit, vegetables, or some proper water. So that is why consuming a big meal or a mixed meal as your first meal of the day, I often suggest having fruit first, then having, let's say, if you're going to eat a salad, your seeds, grains, your nuts, consume that. If you are still, consuming meat, that's totally up to you. I would still eat it around that time of the day so that whatever is going to be absorbed from that meal can be sent where it needs to be sent later on as you are resting, okay? The more hydration you have, the better you will feel and your energy will remain constant. Now, if you are eating a lot of sugar, that's going to be a little different. Your energy is definitely going to peak up, and then you'll notice that you have an abundance of energy for like a half hour or maybe even an hour, and then you'll crash. That is because sugar is extremely processed. Sugar is extremely processed so that when your body does identify what it is, it's like, oh, okay, give you a proper boost, but there's not enough sustaining fuel for you to maintain that peak of energy, okay? But like I said, this gives your body a chance to absorb and utilize what you have consumed, okay? I would like to, let me see. Yeah, all right. After this, I'm going to show some pictures just to, what do you call it? Give you a visual of what I'm talking about as far as the lymphatic system, as far as transitioning when it comes to eating or changing up your plate one section at a time, and then it becomes a plate at a time. I'm going to try to shift between these screen and another one, okay? But transitioning methods, this was the #1 question I got from some of the people who filled out the survey. Thank you much too. Like I said before we started, time is of the essence. You have to understand that this is something that, you have to understand that this is something that takes time. I know when I first started trying to transition to plant-based eating, I was extremely frustrated with how addicted I was to certain foods. Cheese was one of them, sugar was another one. Both of those took almost all of my willpower in order to get off of. So I had to start learning how to be patient with myself. So there's some of you on here that I've talked to before, and we talk about transitioning. And I tell you all the time, don't beat yourself up. If you have a cookie today and your goal was to not have a cookie for a week, cool, you had your cookie. Tomorrow's another day. If you had candy and your goal was to not eat 10 pieces of candy and you had 9, don't beat yourself up. So be it. Tomorrow will be another day. And that is something actually to be quite proud of. And I had to put this in perspective at one point in time because, like I said, I wasn't always like this. And there was definitely times in my life where I was over-consuming things like, of course, alcohol. Some of you know that I definitely was a big weed smoker. And I had to start learning that these are a part of a process. They're a part of an experience. So we are here to experience what it's like to be human, what it's like to figure these things out about ourselves. So if you don't get it in one shot, yo, it is what it is. The body is so beautiful and miraculous that it continues to give you a chance every single day you wake up to get it right. And I want you to think about that for, let's say, I know for me, it was 25, 30 some odd years where I was continuously just doing these things to my body. And this is even when I was eating plant-based and I was still doing some things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. And like I said, I eat smoking, drinking, or even eating certain foods that I knew were damaging to my body. And then my body decided to wake up the next day and be like, all right, Clayton, Tatted food therapist, we're going to try to get it right today. And sometimes I would be like, yeah, let's get it. And then sometimes I'll be like, nope, I'll go right back to those habits and continue doing what I'm doing. But the main thing you got to understand, do not beat yourself up, because then it's kind of like defeating the willpower within you. You know what I'm saying? So fortify yourself and be like, hey, all right, body, you gave me another chance. Let me try to maximize on this as much as possible. I don't care if you last an extra minute beyond what your time frame or whatever your bar was the day before. That's a victory to be celebrated. So keep that in mind. Time truly is of the essence. Change one portion of your plate at a time. I learned this with fasting, and I'm a PK. Actually, my mom and dad are on here. My dad's a pastor, and as a kid, we always talked about fasting. And I would marvel at the people who could just go cold turkey. Because I'm like, first off, I love food. Even to this day, I still enjoy food. I love cooking. I love putting foods together. I love seasoning them up. I love trying to experiment with them and see how they come out. But I would be like, yo, how in the world are you just had a whole buffet the day before, and now you're eating nothing for the next 7 days? But I had to learn for myself. I had to change a portion of the plate at a time. So if I was eating a standard plate, let me see if I could stop my screen share real quick and show you some pictures. Give me 1 second, good people. Here we go. All right, cool. Just to let you know, a few of these things I'm going to pull up there right on Google. You can research them just like I'm doing right now. So changing your plate one portion at a time. What does that mean? I'm going to pull up. Here we go. I'm going to pull up a few pictures first and let you see what I'm talking about. So this is pretty much what they call a bariatric plate. All right. As you can see, this looks more like a standard American diet to me, so that's why I'm showing it. You see your protein, chicken, fish, turkey, steak, eggs, and then you have carbs here, and then you have your vegetables. Now, what I would do if I was slowly trying to change this plate, instead of this protein, being half of the plate, I would try to cut this protein in half so that it only represents a quarter of the plate. Now, how long would you do this for? I tell people to give themselves a week. So instead of that half being protein, let a quarter be protein and eat a quarter protein with the carbs, with the salad for a week. Then the next week, if you're trying to get rid of meat, try to change another half or another quarter of that already portion so that it becomes a little easier and you're not putting your body into shock and you can actually uphold the habits. Let me show you another plate, okay? Exit out of that. Cool. Here we go. Here we go. So now, this is to me an ideal plate. I'll probably, of course, I would take away the meat for me, but most people would feel more comfortable transitioning this way. So you see how the protein side is now only a quarter of the plate, whereas the grains are only a quarter of the plate, and the fruits and vegetables are making up about 50% of the plate. Now, again, I would do this for another week, or at least for 3 days. It usually takes about 3 days for small habits to settle in. That's just how our brains are wired for the systems that we've been going through all of our lives. All right, 3 to 5 days for something to settle in and become a little easier and allow it to stick. So when I talk about transitioning your plate, do it one portion at a time. If you are used to having chicken breast and a leg, and let's say some mashed potatoes is probably about the size of your palm. And let's say you got some string beans about the size of your palm and collard greens the size of your palm. Decent plate. Now the next week, you may want to just remove the leg, still eat the other part of the chicken breast, but try to diminish the amount of, let's say, protein, carbs, or grains, which turn into sugars, as well as increasing the amount of fruit and vegetables that you consume slowly so that it sticks. There's a saying that goes, old habits die hard. And I say old habits die hard if you try to go cold turkey. If you take your time, give yourself the adequate amount of adjustment, those new habits will stick and they won't be as difficult. Okay. I would also like to show, I'll come back to those things. All right. Screen share. Cool. All right, here we go. Can you give me a thumbs up if you still see transitioning methods? All right, good. My internet's working today. Cool. I ain't gonna lie, that was the part I was nervous about because when I was teaching, boy, internet was giving me some issues. All right, but change your plate one portion at a time. Don't try to do it all in one chunk. Now, if you have the willpower to do so, please have at it. But I am gonna let you know, your body's gonna let you know that you're making some changes. Your stomach's gonna be growling a lot. You'll probably start craving some things and you'll probably be like, what the heck am I going through? It's just your body trying to get back to the habits that you're used to having. Just got to push beyond the brink, push beyond the veil, as they would say in church or whatever. All right. A lot of suggestions that I give to people, especially when they're trying to figure out what is wrong with their bodies, if they're trying to heal, or if they're trying to just simply change for a better lifestyle. Reduce the amount of meat, dairy, and starch you consume. And while you do it, increase the amount of fruit for sure, and then vegetables that you consume. I'm not here to change anyone's mind about how they view meat, dairy, or starch. I'm just going to give you some facts, okay? Like I said, number one, our digestive system is too long for sometimes the amount of meat that we consume. If you're eating meat 3 to 4 to 5 times a day and you are not going to the bathroom 3 to 4 to 5 times a day, there is still some of that inside of your body. Now, what happens is if your body can't get rid of it, it finds different ways to either store it or get it out of the way so that you can continue to live your daily life. That is where a lot of people feel like they are constipated, they're extremely gassy, because what happens is those foods that are not expelled, they begin to cake up on your colon area. Now, your colon area is not just your rectum. Your colon area takes up a nice portion of your large intestine. So a lot of times when people start fasting, they start noticing, oh my gosh, I went to the bathroom like 6 times today. And I mean like sat on the toilet 6 times a day. And it'll probably smell real putrid. It'll probably be real rancid. Good. You should be happy with that. Not the smell, but you should be happy that your body is finally cleansing. It's like scraping plaque off of a wall because it's been inside of your body for a while. Okay? Meat, dairy, and starch also make your body produce excessive mucus so that it can protect the lining of your organs. So like I said, I'm not telling anyone to jump all on the vegan campaign or the plant-based campaign, but I just want you to know what these things are doing when you are consuming them on your insides, okay? But a lot of people also don't like vegan and plant-based food because they feel like it doesn't taste good. But we forget, season the food just like you would do your steak. If you're gonna cook mushrooms that day and you're used to putting a steak rub seasoning on it, marinate those mushrooms, put that steak rub seasoning on it, put those mushrooms on the grill if you want, or a cast iron skillet. I love cast iron. I got cast iron everything. Dutch ovens, 17-inch pans, 15-inch pans, 12-inch joint. I love cast iron. So another thing that helped me also transition was seasoning my salads. Yes. So I had a kale salad today with a little parsley, a little cilantro, and I put cayenne pepper, black pepper, a little onion powder because I didn't have onions in the house, as well as some key lime juice on it. And I let it sit for a little while, massaged it up because it helps break down those cell walls so that I could chew the food better and I could get the nutrients from it a lot quicker, makes it more tender. That's why sometimes people massage their kale salads. They'll be like, oh, it changes up the texture, it makes it tender for you, which it does, but also allows for your body to digest that food easier, okay? But season your food. It will surely help you stick to whatever regimen you were trying to transition to. All right. Okay. Let me see. Let me actually get a poll. Yeah. Put a 1 in the chat if you would like for me to continue talking, or put a 2 in the chat if you would like for me to go to questions. Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to continue talking. Put a 2 in the chat if you would like for me to skip to questions. I'll stop my screen share too, so it's anonymous. All right, I'll continue. And if I go over to, like I said, if you do have to leave, thank you for attending. Like I said, I'm gonna do this monthly. The next ones will probably be a little longer because I do want to get into some details, and I do have some books that I would like to reference for you all. So, you know, I'm not just pulling this out thin air, and not just my own personal experiences too. There are other people who have done this before me. There are people who are masters at this. I'm not gonna say I'm a master yet. I'm definitely on the way because I enjoy this stuff like a lot. And to be very honest, this stuff has literally saved my life. Literally saved my life. So, I hope that this, like I said, is providing you all with a lot of good information. It just gives you a different perspective on how you can treat your bodies, okay? So transitioning methods continued. Those of you who, before you leave, please drop your, either you can drop your email in the chat, or you can still go to the link on Tatted Food Therapist's Instagram page, drop an email there. I'm going to be sending out recipes throughout the week, okay? I do have some recipes. I do plan on putting out a recipe book later this year. I just need to get some visuals together. But I will be sending out recipes, easy ones and some more intricate ones that you can use throughout the week if you would like to try some plant-based or vegan methods of eating, okay? And then I'll also be sending out literature and text so that people can help themselves. Because after a while, I want you to have this information and knowledge down to a point where you like, okay, cool, I already know what to do. I don't even have to go on the Tatted Food Therapist page, nothing like that. This is so that people can be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, okay? And not be dependent upon other people or other situations to get themselves better and to heal themselves, okay? So a few things that helped me transition. I found a lot of recipes. I held on to them until I could make them my own. Sometimes it's okay to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you keep the wheel the same and allow the car to roll as efficient as it's supposed to. So, and if you like that recipe, change one thing, change two things. Later on, it'll be 4 or 5 things, and then that recipe is yours. Sub out ingredients. If you have if you have a phone or if you have a pen or a pad, you can write these down. Eggs. That was also something that I had to like really get my cooking skills to get around, because egg was a very universal binder for a lot of the things that I was cooking before. Chickpea flour scramble or hemp seed scramble. The hemp seed scramble is going to be a little bit more healthy. It's definitely, hemp seeds have a protein that easily assimilate with the body. And you could give hemp seeds to children, I say children over 3. You can make a milk with it as well. It allows for the body to have a majority of the protein that it needs that people preach about so much. And I'm telling you that as a person who worked out in the gym, got up to 210 pounds, all muscle, not even worrying about having a piece of steak, chicken, fish, or turkey, or eggs. Hemp seeds will get you there. I trust me on it, okay? For baking and cooking, 2 tablespoons of flax seeds mixed in with 4 tablespoons of water, approximately equal 1 egg. I am a cookie monster. I'm not ashamed to say it. Chocolate chip cookies, I love them. But I had to figure out different ways of having the chocolate chip cookies without having the white flour and even without having spelt flour, because some grains, they take a long time for the body to break down too, because remember, these plants and these fruits, they want to live as long as their life cycle is supposed to too. So they have defense mechanisms that our bodies don't always break down as easily as it should. So like I said, just something to pay attention to. Ancient flours that are great for baking: sourdough, millet, amaranth, even plantains. There's not a flour, but you can mash up plantains to make tortillas. You can mash up plantains to make flat wraps and things of that nature. It's not going to be as elastic as your traditional flour corn or corn tortillas, but it'll still get the job done. And that was something I was all right, to be completely honest, that was something that was very frustrating for me when I first started transitioning as well. I started noticing the usual textures of food. Like I said, cheese, that was a big thing for me. I saw how much I enjoyed like a melted cheese or pizza. To this day, I still love pizza, but I have found other ways to enjoy it the same and it be almost as similar as what I was used to, okay? Walnuts for ground beef. If you've had any of the Tatted Food Therapist food, we were doing, what do you call them? Sloppy Joes. I had people trying the Tatted Food Sloppy Joes, and I wasn't telling them it was ground walnuts, and they were consuming it, eating it just like it was regular ground beef. A lot of times you're gonna recognize that you miss the texture of these foods. It's not so much the food itself. It's not so much the steak. It was how it tasted, or how you cut into it, how buttery it felt, or how juicy that chicken was after you had a rotisserie and in the oven. And there's a few of y'all on here that can cook. So I see y'all making the faces because y'all understand. It truly is you missing what comfort that food has brought you. And I'm saying that even as a person to this day, I still have to tell myself, hey, listen, Clayton, it's 9 p.m. I don't care if that cake is vegan or not. Don't touch it, because you're not supposed to be eating that late. And it affects me as much as I will wake up in the middle of the night sweating because my body is trying to break down the food that I ate an hour before I went to sleep. So again, it's not just me being like, don't enjoy yourself. There are repercussions for all of these consequences of things that we do. It's just the way our body is and the way this world works. You got cause, you got effect. It's always going to be like that. Okay? Mushrooms are your friend, especially for us men. If you feel depression, if you feel like you cannot lift your mood, if you feel like your energy is in the basement, especially throughout the fall and the winter time, consume more mushrooms, consume more fruit. More mushrooms, more fruit. Usually our lack of energy, because again, we are naturally energetic beings, is our bodies letting us know, hey, we're missing a few minerals and nutrients. And I could tell you that as a person who, like, I'm gonna be honest, especially when I was a teacher, I disliked winter. You wake up, it's dark. You go to work, it's dark. You're in the building all day, you're missing the sun. You get off work, it's dark. You get home, it's dark. So you're missing that sun. You're missing that vitamin D production, and your skin is not able to absorb that. So you have to find another way to get that inside of your system. You could take tinctures too. Lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi, chaga. Those are all things that I could talk about in other sessions too that help you boost your mood, okay? But if you're looking for substitutes, king trumpet and enoki for pork or chicken-like textures or flavors, like, again, it's like it. It is not spot on what it is, because I get a lot of folks that are like, this don't taste like chicken. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It is something like it, okay? Portobello for your beef-like substitutions as well. Miyaki, aka hen of the woods, for your chicken-like substitutions, okay? All right. Come on. Okay, here we go. Okay, now, like I said, cheese was a big thing for me. Now, if you're fasting, unfortunately, you cannot do the substitutions like they have in the store, like the Miyokos is a very good substitution for cheese. Via Life is a very good substitution for cheese, but they contain potato starch, coconut starch. Like I said before, anything starchy, like the meat of a coconut is starchy. Now, the water that's in it is great for you, but the meat of the coconut is good for you too if you are not fasting. So you can't eat all the substitutes. What helped me get over initially? Avocado and onion powder. Why? Cheese is very pungent. Most cheeses have a pungent flavor. That onion powder helped me with the pungent flavor, and of course some salt as well. And then the texture of the avocado when it was mashed up, smashed up real good. Like, I wasn't doing no chunky guacamole at first. No way. At first, I wanted it to be like a cheese sauce almost. So I would mash that thing up real good, add a nice amount of onion powder, a decent amount of sprinkles of salt, not too much. If you could get Celtic salt, that is the best salt that you can get. I know people preach about pink Himalayan salt and all that stuff, but Celtic salt is probably the best salt that you can get that is good for your body and gives you iodine, okay? Which is something that is essential for your thyroid. Your thyroid is essential for your metabolism, also for letting you know when you are about to be sick. So, but that's a conversation for another time. A easy cheese-like sauce that you can make is contained with flax seeds, hemp seeds, blending them with sea moss, and adding some, onion powder, salt, a little dill, smoked paprika, makes a pretty good cheese sauce. If you want, this information is here for you. You can take a picture of it. You can write it down. I will probably try to find somewhere to post these as well so that you can have access to this information later too, okay? But that helped me out a lot. And then I literally would take a Ziploc bag and I would roll it up into the form of cheese or try to put it into the block of cheese, leave it in the refrigerator for at least about a good 2 or 3 hours, let it get kind of solid, and then cut it like slices of cheese. Now, it's still gonna be not as firm as cheese, but it will be a cheese-like sauce. And to be honest with you, I was slapping that thing on the little sandwiches I was making. I was putting that stuff in my salads. I was using it for like nachos and stuff, and I couldn't tell the difference after a while, okay? Now, again, it's a cheese-like substitute. It is not going to actually be like cheese. I'm still working on trying to find something like that, okay? But like I said, there are plant-based cheeses that I like, but they use coconut starch, potato starch, and some of them will use tapioca starch as well. Put it in bold. Do not consume if you are fasting or eating to heal. It will only prolong the process. This happened to me recently. I thought that I was over a particular sickness. I had strep throat. and I was getting to the tail end of it, and I'm like, oh, I'm cool, I'm good. I was like, all right, I kind of want something cheesy, because like I said, cheese is still something that's comforting for me. It's something I'm still trying to get over. I haven't had any dairy or what do you call it, cheese in years though, because it tear my stomach up. But I tried to go to eat that cheese. 2 hours later, my nose was running so bad, and then I felt the congestion. So again, I'm not saying it so you don't enjoy yourself, but I'm telling you that if you are doing these things, you try to keep switching back and forth, you can't serve two masters. You got to choose one. You got to choose your poison wisely, okay? All right, okay, I am going to do this last one. And like I said, it is 9 o'clock. So if you do have to go, I do appreciate you coming through. But I do want to touch on this real quick because a lot of people ask me about my herbal usage. And I do tell people you have to be careful. And I'm learning that you have to be careful with certain herbs. Certain herbs, you do need to look up how they react and how they respond to the body, or seek a naturopathic or herbal doctor that can tell you which combinations work well, which combinations don't, how long you should be on these herbs, and how long you should be off of them. Because, for example, neem, I'll use this one, and chickweed. At one particular time, I was taking both of them. Unbeknownst to me, that's a no-no. You don't do that. Simply because your body needs time to gather whatever the cells are pushing out as far as debris or how can I say this? Or whatever it's cleaning up. And then it has to take time to allow it to come out of your body. If you try to expedite that process by overtaking herbs, it can spill into your blood system, and it can kill you or make you more sick. So there are some herbs that you can take on a daily, but there are some herbs that you should definitely be very careful with taking, okay? But herbs are meant to heal and purge. So that means you shouldn't be taking all these herbs all the time. At some point in time, you should not have to take herbs. You should be able to eat. And that doesn't include things like cilantro, parsley. You eat those all the time, daily. That's fine. But some of the heavy hitters that really target your lymphatic system, really target your circulatory system or your liver and kidneys, and you should cleanse. There's an order in which you should cleanse too, so that you have optimal cleansing and optimal healing. But you don't want to take too many of these things all the time, because like I said, they can damage you pretty badly, and you will have to end up going to see a doctor or trying to, redo or reverse some things. But and some of the herbs will help maintain, but your body is meant to cleanse, and sometimes it does need a boost. All right, but you must have an abundance of minerals. That is what is essential, especially when people are taking vitamins, to your healing, as well as your hydration. You have to have the nuts and bolts and screws in order to tighten up what needs to be tightened up in your body. And that's where your minerals come into play. Iron is a mineral that a lot of people, especially women, lack because, y'all go through your natural process once a month. So things that help that, and I didn't put it in here: red raspberry leaf for women and red clover are very good. Sarsaparilla, or I was saying this wrong when I first saw it, sarsaparilla, but it's sarsaparilla. All right, the word is just sarsaparilla. The people were looking at me crazy when I went to the store. So I'm like, yo, you got sarsaparilla? They're like, what? I'm like, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. So I try to make you look crazy, yo. But it's called sarsaparilla. Has an abundance of iron. Blue vervain, an abundance of iron. Yellow dock, an abundance of iron. Yellow dock actually helped me get over that strep throat stuff that I was just battling with. And boy, was I ever grateful that I had that in my closet too. Those will make you go to the bathroom a lot too, okay? Zinc, milk thistle, sage, cayenne. Do not underestimate your cupboard. Don't underestimate your cupboard. Clove, star anise, cinnamon, black pepper. Black pepper is great for absorption. Cinnamon is great for getting rid of mucus, especially within the lungs. Cloves are very good for getting rid of parasites. Every morning I wake up, I take 2 cloves, some coconut oil. Well, first I do a coconut oil pull, spit it out. Take 2 cloves, chew them up, get some more coconut oil, swish it around. Let it sit in your mouth for about 20 minutes and then swallow it. Helps cleanse your body of parasites. But all of these minerals that are here, iron, zinc, selenium, magnesium, manganese, potassium, as well as finding them within these herbs, you can find them in your foods too. So food truly is your medicine, okay? Food truly is your medicine. And all right, and I'm actually gonna pause right there and stop sharing my screen. All right, cool. And I got a few emails here too. I don't mind an extra like 15 minutes. I'm cool. If you have any questions, feel free to come off mute. I would